At 6:32 p.m. on October 29, 1997, Oakland County Dispatch received a call about gunfire outside Tommy's Party Store in Pontiac, Michigan. 18-year-old Ronnie Green lay dying from a single bullet wound to the head. The shooter would turn out to be an 11-year-old boy named Nathaniel Abraham, who claimed he was just shooting at trees. But ballistics report AG-113 would tell a different story. The bullet's trajectory came from exactly where witnesses placed the child with a stolen .22 caliber rifle. The paradox that would shake Michigan's legal system. How could someone be too young to stay home alone but old enough to face life in prison? Court records would reveal a truth more complex than anyone imagined.
A lot of people make mistakes and they don't never get a second chance. I do. And I just want the people to know that I'm here with a second chance. And,
Because, people think you're going to squander that second chance. You do know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think about that?
The odds are stacked against you, of course.
That was Nathaniel Abraham as an adult, and sure, everyone deserves a second shot, but for him, it wasn't going to be easy. He'd end up back in trouble several times after getting out. But before we get into all that, let's rewind and check out his childhood, because knowing where he came from is the best way to understand this whole story. Nathaniel Abraham entered the world on January 19, 1986 in Pontiac, Michigan. His father disappeared shortly after his birth, leaving Gloria Abraham to raise 6 children while working 2 jobs as a nursing aide and cafeteria worker. By the time Nathaniel turned 9, juvenile court records documented 22 police contacts: burglary, assault, arson, weapons violations. The list read like a countdown to catastrophe. Neighbor affidavits paint a disturbing picture. Tanya Bass told investigators she watched Nathaniel throw rocks at passing cars, brandish sticks like firearms at other children. That boy had rage in him, she stated in her deposition. We all saw it coming. Court logs from 1995 show repeated referrals to juvenile services, but no sustained intervention materialized. The system noted the problems, filed the paperwork, then sent him home. School records from Edison Elementary revealed similar patterns. 3 suspensions for fighting by 2nd grade. A teacher's note from March 1996 described finding him with a knife, claiming he needed protection from older kids. Principal Marcus Williams documented 11 disciplinary incidents that year alone. Yet Nathaniel remained in regular classes, promoted grade after grade despite accumulating warnings. The evidence shows clear cause and effect. Each violent incident met with minimal consequences, each escalation treated as isolated rather than part of a pattern. Gloria Abraham, overwhelmed and working double shifts, told social workers she couldn't control him. I tried everything, she said in a 1996 family court hearing. Nobody would help until it was too late. Then came the legal shift that would seal Nathaniel's fate. In 1996, Michigan passed Public Act 272, eliminating the minimum age for trying children as adults in violent crimes. The legislators who voted for it couldn't have imagined they'd soon test it on someone who still slept with a teddy bear. Throughout the 1980s and early 90s, juvenile homicide rates in America had tripled. Michigan's response came swift and harsh. State Representative William Van Regenmorter led the charge, declaring in session transcripts, "If they're old enough to kill, they're old enough to face adult consequences." The Oakland Press ran editorials supporting the measure. "Our children deserve safe streets," one column argued on July 15, 1996. But juvenile justice advocates warned of unintended consequences. Professor Barry Feld from the University of Minnesota testified that brain development research showed children literally couldn't process consequences like adults. His warnings went unheeded. In Pontiac, the pressure was particularly intense. FBI crime statistics showed the city's murder rate exceeded Detroit's per capita. Residents demanded action. Town halls filled with angry parents. Mayor Walter Moore promised zero tolerance for youth violence in his re-election campaign. Yet beneath the political rhetoric lay uncomfortable truths. Pontiac's poverty rate hit 32%. After-school programs had been cut by 60% since 1990. The Boys and Girls Club closed 3 locations. Youth employment programs disappeared. As state funds for prevention dried up, spending on juvenile detention facilities increased 400%. Court records from this period reveal a system overwhelmed. Juvenile Judge Eugene Arthur Moore, who would later preside over Nathaniel's case, wrote in a 1996 report, "We're asked to be parents, counselors, and jailers with a fraction of necessary resources." His caseload had doubled in 5 years while his staff shrank by a third. This was the world Nathaniel Abraham stepped into, a young boy whose warning signs had been recorded but largely ignored, in a community where prevention often gave way to punishment, under a new law that blurred the line between child and adult. What followed would challenge every expectation about juvenile justice in America. But before we dive into that, let's pause to remember the victim. The last ordinary hours of Ronnie Green's life are carefully documented. His day began with a shift at Chrysler Assembly, clocking out at 4:15 in the afternoon. Surveillance footage from Tommy's Party Store shows him walking in at 6:25 in the evening, purchasing cigarettes and a Pepsi. Just 5 minutes later, he stepped outside to chat with Michael Hudak near the entrance. Simple moments, ordinary routines, now forever frozen in the records that would become evidence. At approximately 6:30 p.m., witnesses heard a crack. Like a firecracker, Hudak told investigators in his initial statement. Ronnie just dropped. The bullet entered behind Green's left ear, traveled through his brain, and lodged against his skull. Paramedics arrived at 6:39 p.m., finding him unconscious but breathing. He died the next morning at Pontiac Osteopathic Hospital. Oakland County Sheriff's forensic team recovered a .22 caliber shell casing 17 feet from where Green fell. Ballistics expert Jennifer Walsh determined the shot came from approximately 200 feet away, near a hillside overlooking the store. Several witnesses, including 12-year-old Chris Reynolds, reported seeing a young boy with a rifle in that exact location moments before the shooting. "I know Nate," Reynolds told Detective James Pendergrass in his recorded interview. "He had this rifle he'd been showing off all week. Said he stole it from someone's garage." The theft report, filed October 23rd by David Oakley, described a missing Remington .22 caliber rifle, serial number RM44792. Nathaniel Abraham's own words would damn him. And get this, he actually had a girlfriend at the time. Jessica Drummond, just 13 years old, gave a written statement that would become key evidence. "Nate called me around 5 that day. Said he was going to shoot someone. I thought he was just talking tough." Phone records confirmed a 4-minute call from the Abraham home to the Drummond residence at 5:03 p.m. By 7:45 p.m., 3 witnesses had independently identified Nathaniel as the shooter. Detective Pendergrass noted in his report, "Suspect's whereabouts currently unknown." Mother states he left home around 5 p.m., hasn't returned. The hunt for an 11-year-old killer had begun. October 31st, 1997, 9:42 a.m. The arrest log entry reads like a typographical error. Abraham Nathaniel, age 11, charged open murder/felony firearm. Officers arrived at Lincoln Middle School while students attended their Halloween celebrations. They found Nathaniel in math class, working on fractions. "He came with us without resistance," Officer Bradley Stevens recorded. "Asked if he could bring his backpack. Had his Halloween candy inside." The booking photo shows a child who stood 4 feet 8 inches, weighing 78 pounds. He wore a Pistons jersey and light-up sneakers. During initial questioning, Nathaniel admitted firing the rifle but insisted he was aiming at trees. Detective Pendergrass's interrogation notes document the exchange. Subject states he was practicing shooting. Claims he didn't know anyone got hurt until he heard sirens. Yet when pressed about his earlier statement to Jessica Drummond, Nathaniel changed his story. "I was just playing around when I said that." The recovered rifle, found hidden under a pile of leaves near Nathaniel's apartment complex, matched the serial number from Oakley's theft report. Forensic testing confirmed Nathaniel's fingerprints on the trigger, stock, and barrel. Gunpowder residue on his jacket, seized from his bedroom, proved consistent with recent firing. Prosecutor Lisa Halushka faced an unprecedented decision. Under the new Michigan law, she had 3 options: charge Nathaniel as a juvenile, as an adult, or seek a blended sentence. The Wayne County Prosecutor's Office had never charged anyone younger than 14 as an adult, but the evidence was overwhelming and public pressure intense. "The defendant may be 11 in years," Halushka stated at the press conference announcing adult charges, but his actions showed adult consequences. Defense attorney Jeffrey Feger immediately countered, "This is a child who still believes in Santa Claus." The state has lost its moral compass. The battle lines were drawn. The prosecution's evidence filled 17 boxes. Forensics determined the fatal bullet's trajectory with laser precision, a straight line from Nathaniel's position to Green's head. The angle suggested deliberate aiming, not random firing. Shell casing measurements matched the rifle's ejection pattern exactly. IQ testing became the defense's cornerstone. Dr. Mitchell Goldstein, clinical psychologist, administered the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for children. Results showed Nathaniel's IQ at 71, borderline intellectual functioning. His cognitive abilities match a 6 to 8-year-old, Goldstein testified in his pretrial evaluation. He cannot fully grasp cause and effect. But prosecution expert Dr. Rachel Stern countered with behavioral evidence. The defendant stole a specific weapon, hid it for days, chose an elevated position with clear sightlines, and concealed evidence afterward. These actions demonstrate planning and consciousness of guilt. Her report cited Nathaniel's statement to another youth, Terrence Jackson. "I popped that dude clean." Phone records revealed a pattern. Between October 23rd and 29th, Nathaniel made 43 calls, several mentioning the rifle. Text messages recovered from Jessica Drummond's pager showed escalating violent rhetoric. "Gonna be a shooter like Tupac," one message read. Another, "They gonna respect me now." Witness testimony painted conflicting portraits. Teachers described a troubled but salvageable child. Neighbors recounted terrorizing incidents. Nathaniel's own siblings provided the most damaging accounts. His brother Michael, age 14, told investigators, "Nate always talked about killing someone, said it would be easy." The defense investigation uncovered systemic failures. 22 documented requests for mental health intervention, all denied or waitlisted. Child Protective Services had opened 5 investigations, closing each for insufficient resources. School psychologist Dr. Amanda Chen had recommended residential treatment twice. Nothing happened. As October 29, 1999 approached, exactly 2 years after the shooting, both sides prepared for a trial that would challenge fundamental assumptions about childhood, responsibility, and justice. The evidence was ready. The question remained, could an 11-year-old truly be guilty of murder? October 29, 1999. Judge Eugene Arthur Moore gavelled proceedings to order at 9 a.m. sharp. The coincidence of the date, 2 years to the day from the shooting, wasn't lost on anyone. Ronnie Green's mother, Veronica, sat in the front row wearing her son's graduation photo as a button. Prosecutor Halushka opened with precision. The evidence will show premeditation. The defendant stole a weapon, practiced shooting, announced his intentions, selected a victim, took aim, and fired. She displayed the trajectory diagram on an overhead projector. This was not an accident. Jeffrey Feger's defense relied on reasonable doubt and diminished capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at a child who couldn't legally buy a movie ticket alone. His IQ tests at the level of a first grader. How can we hold him to adult standards? Fieger presented Nathaniel's stuffed animals, seized from his bedroom, as evidence of his youth. The jury heard from 37 witnesses over 3 weeks. Ballistics expert Jennifer Walsh demonstrated the rifle's accuracy limitations. Hitting a target at 200 feet with this rusted .22 would require deliberate aiming and significant luck. Her testing showed only 3 hits in 30 attempts by an experienced marksman. Nathaniel's videotaped confession played on day 4. His feet didn't touch the floor from the interrogation room chair. He asked for chocolate milk twice. When Detective Pendergrass asked why he shot toward people, Nathaniel responded, "I don't know. Sometimes I just do things." The most dramatic testimony came from Jessica Drummond. Now 15, she recounted Nathaniel's exact words, "I'm gonna shoot somebody at Tommy's." Watch the news. Under cross-examination, she admitted being scared of him. He said he'd hurt me if I told anyone. On November 16, 1999, after 14 hours of deliberation, the jury returned their verdict: guilty of second-degree murder. Nathaniel showed no visible reaction. His mother, Gloria, collapsed in tears. The conviction carried a potential sentence of 8 to 25 years in adult prison. Judge Moore faced 3 options under Michigan law: adult prison, juvenile detention until 21, or a blended sentence starting in juvenile facilities. The pre-sentencing report ran 300 pages. Victim impact statements filled another 50. Veronica Green addressed the court. "My son was 18. He had his whole life ahead. College applications on his desk. This child took that away for no reason. I want justice." Her voice broke on the final word. Ronnie's father, Charles, stood silent, holding his wife's hand. Defense mitigation specialist Dr. Patricia Williams presented devastating context. Nathaniel witnessed 16 incidents of domestic violence before age 5. His medical records show 3 emergency room visits for injuries suspicious of abuse, never investigated. This child never stood a chance. Prosecutor Halushka remained firm. "Your Honor, the defendant has shown no genuine remorse." Prison calls reveal him bragging about the case. He told another juvenile, "I'm famous now." This attitude suggests high recidivism risk. On January 13, 2000, Judge Moore delivered his decision with visible reluctance. This court must balance public safety with recognition that the defendant, despite his crime, remains a child. He sentenced Nathaniel to juvenile detention until age 21, the minimum allowable option. The courtroom erupted. Green's family stormed out. Defense attorney Fieger called it the only humane choice. Prosecutor Halushka immediately announced the state would appeal, though ultimately unsuccessfully. Judge Moore's closing statement proved prophetic. This law asks us to abandon distinctions between children and adults that civilization has recognized for centuries. I've followed the law, but I fear we've failed this child and our community equally. His words would echo through decades of legal debate about juvenile justice. Department of Human Services file number 00DHS123 documents Nathaniel's decade in custody with clinical precision, initial placement, Maxi Boys Training School, classification, maximum security, daily schedule, 6 a.m. wake, 10 p.m. lights out. Education hours, 4 daily, therapy sessions, twice weekly. Progress reports paint a mixed picture. Year 1 showed promise, GED completed at 16, honor roll grades. Inmate Abraham demonstrates strong academic potential, noted instructor Kenneth Phillips in December 2001. But disciplinary records revealed ongoing violence. 4 fights in 2002, theft of institutional property in 2003, attempted escape in 2004. Psychological evaluations tracked minimal emotional growth. Dr. Susan Martinez wrote in her 2005 assessment, Subject continues to minimize his offense. Shows limited empathy for victim. Attributes crime to bad luck rather than choices. Required anger management courses, completed but with minimal engagement, according to facilitator notes. By 2007, facing mandatory release at 21, Nathaniel had earned his high school diploma and completed vocational training in automotive repair. Parole board transcripts from his final review show split opinions. Member Janet Coleman, he's institutionalized but not rehabilitated. Chairman Robert Hayes, we have no choice. The law mandates release. January 19, 2007, Nathaniel's 21st birthday, he walked out of juvenile custody carrying 2 boxes of possessions and $300 gate money. His victim impact statement requirement remained incomplete. He'd never written the mandated letter of apology to the Green family. Freedom arrived ready or not. 5 months after release, Pontiac police arrest logs show Nathaniel's first new offense, retail theft, dismissed with time served. November 2007, disorderly conduct, 30 days jail. March 2008, possession of marijuana, probation. The escalation followed a familiar trajectory. May 23, 2008 changed everything. Officers executing a traffic stop discovered 254 ecstasy pills hidden in Nathaniel's door panel. The arrest report values the drugs at $5,000 street value. This wasn't personal use. This was distribution. Conviction meant serious prison time. I'm not that 11-year-old kid anymore, Nathaniel told the court at his 2009 sentencing. I'm trying to change. Judge Jessica Cooper responded sharply. Your record suggests otherwise. You've been given extraordinary chances. She imposed 3 to 20 years. Prison records from Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility document continued disciplinary issues. Major misconducts for fighting, contraband cell phones, gambling. But also unexpected developments. Completed substance abuse programs, mentored younger inmates, earned certificates in computer programming. Parole granted in 2017 lasted 14 months. December 2018, arrested with methamphetamine during a raid on a suspected drug house. This time, prosecutors showed no leniency. The charge, delivery of methamphetamine, carrying up to life imprisonment. In his 2019 plea agreement, Nathaniel accepted 6 to 40 years. At age 33, he faced the possibility of dying in prison. The 11-year-old who claimed he was just shooting at trees had become a career criminal. The system that couldn't decide if he was child or adult had produced neither, just an institutionalized man who knew no other life. 28 years after that October evening, Ronnie Green's memorial stone at Greenwood Cemetery reads, "Son, brother, friend, taken too soon." His mother, Veronica, now 73, still visits monthly. "People forgot my boy," she told reporters in 2024. "Remember him for who he was, not just how he died." The case reshaped Michigan law. In 2012, the Supreme Court ruled in Miller v. Alabama that mandatory life sentences for juvenile offenders violated constitutional protections. Michigan courts retroactively applied this to cases like Nathaniel's, though his sentence remained unchanged due to subsequent adult convictions. Academic analysis proliferated. The University of Michigan Journal of Law Reform published 17 articles referencing the Abraham case between 2000 and 2020. Professor Elizabeth Scott of Columbia Law School called it the perfect storm of failed systems, poverty, mental health, juvenile justice, and political expediency colliding in one tragic case. Legislative efforts continue. House Bill 4284, introduced in 2023, would establish minimum age 14 for adult prosecution. Sponsor Representative Maria Santiago cited Nathaniel Abraham specifically. "We cannot repeat these mistakes. Children require rehabilitation, not retribution." As of January 2025, Michigan Department of Corrections records show Nathaniel Abraham, MDOC number 711418, remains incarcerated at Ernest C. Brooks Correctional Facility. Earliest release date, February 28, 2025. Maximum discharge, February 28, 2059. The boy who couldn't stay home alone became a man who may never go home again. The verdict that made legal history poses questions still unanswered. When does childhood end? Can justice and mercy coexist? What do we owe our most damaged children? The evidence is clear. The conclusions remain contested. The tragedy endures, for a young man dead at 18, for a child condemned at 11, for a society still searching for answers. If you value respectful, evidence-based storytelling about real cases, consider subscribing for more documented investigations.